Ashanti just gave the R&B world another moment to talk about after making a surprise appearance during Day 2 of the R&B Tour at MetLife Stadium, and the way she stepped onto that stage immediately changed the energy in the building. This was not just another concert appearance. Ashanti came out looking confident, completely comfortable, and ready to remind everybody why her presence on an R&B stage still carries so much weight. The moment she appeared, the atmosphere shifted, and it became clear that this was one of those unexpected moments that can turn an already major concert into something people remember. The R&B Tour is bringing together two major names in R&B and performance, Usher and Chris Brown, and the MetLife Stadium stop was already a huge event before Ashanti made her appearance. The tour had back-to-back shows at MetLife Stadium on August 7th and August 8th, making the second night another major stop on the schedule. But Ashanti showing up added an entirely different flavor to the night. What immediately stood out to me was Ashanti's confidence. She didn't look like somebody who was simply walking onto the stage for a quick appearance. She looked like somebody who knew exactly what she was doing and understood the impact of stepping onto that stage. And that's what makes Ashanti so special. She has a catalog that gives her the ability to walk onto almost any R&B stage and instantly connect with the atmosphere. Her music is tied to an era of R&B that remains extremely influential, and her presence brings that nostalgia without making the moment feel outdated. Instead, Ashanti made it feel current. The video shows her walking across the stage while holding the microphone, with the stadium lights and crowd surrounding her. She carried herself with that calm confidence that has become part of her image over the years. There was no need for her to overdo anything. Her entrance alone created the moment. And I think that's the biggest thing about this appearance. Ashanti didn't need a complicated introduction to remind everybody who she was. Her presence did the work. This also makes sense when you look at the type of audience the R&B Tour is attracting. Usher and Chris Brown represent different generations and different sides of R&B performance, but both have built careers around music, stage presence, choreography, and memorable live performances. Ashanti fits naturally into that world. Her appearance also highlights how powerful a strong R&B catalog can be. There are certain songs that don't disappear simply because time passes. They become part of people's memories, and when the artist who created those songs appears in a massive stadium, that connection becomes even stronger. That's exactly what Ashanti brought to MetLife Stadium. She brought history. She brought style. She brought confidence. And most importantly, she brought that unmistakable Ashanti energy. One of the things I noticed from the footage is the way she carried herself while walking across the stage. Her outfit, her movement, and her overall presentation all worked together. She wasn't trying to look like somebody else. She looked like Ashanti, and that's enough. The timing of this appearance is also interesting because Ashanti has continued to remain relevant while balancing music, family life, and her role as a longtime figure in R&B. She has already proven that her career isn't dependent on constantly releasing new music. Her catalog continues to give her opportunities to step onto major stages and immediately make an impact. And that is a powerful position for an artist to be in. When an artist can perform music from years ago and still create a moment in a stadium filled with thousands of people, that says something about the strength of the music. Ashanti has that. There is also something special about seeing artists from different eras share the same musical space. Usher has been one of the defining figures in R&B for decades. Chris Brown has built one of the strongest performance careers of his generation. Ashanti represents another important chapter in the evolution of modern R&B. Put those names around the same major tour, and the possibilities for surprise moments become much bigger. That's why Ashanti's appearance stands out. It wasn't simply about seeing another celebrity walk onto a stage. It was about seeing an artist whose music has remained recognizable step into a massive R&B environment and immediately look like she belonged there. And honestly, that's exactly what happened. Ashanti looked comfortable. She looked prepared. She looked confident. And she looked like she was enjoying the moment. There's also something important about the way she presented herself. She didn't need to explain why she was there. She didn't need to make the moment complicated. She simply came out, grabbed the attention of the stadium and let the performance atmosphere take over. That kind of confidence is difficult to manufacture. It comes from years of experience. Ashanti has been performing for decades, and you can see that experience in the way she moves and presents herself. She understands how to command attention without forcing it. That's why this moment works so well for a video. The footage gives us a clear reminder that Ashanti is still capable of creating a major moment simply by appearing on stage. And when you add the scale of MetLife Stadium to the equation, the moment becomes even bigger. This wasn't a small venue. This wasn't a private performance. This was one of the biggest stadium stops on the R&B Tour, featuring Usher and Chris Brown, and Ashanti appeared right in the middle of that massive R&B celebration. That is a statement by itself. It also makes me wonder what other surprise appearances could happen as the tour continues. When major artists are sharing stages and moving through major cities, there is always the possibility that another familiar name could suddenly appear. But for this particular night, Ashanti was the name that created the surprise. And she made the most of it. From the moment she walked across that stage, she looked like somebody who understood exactly how much attention that entrance would receive. Her confidence, her appearance and her presence all came together to create a moment that feels bigger than a simple guest appearance. Ashanti has already built her legacy. She doesn't have to prove that anymore. What she showed at MetLife Stadium was something different. She showed that her legacy can still live inside a modern R&B concert environment. She showed that her catalog still has a place on huge stages.